Hi, what's up, everybody? Very excited.
Hey.
What's good? Very excited to be teaching today. It's 1 o'clock. It's now time for us to get our Ignite on. How's everybody doing? Good?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's good. I'm excited to be here. Nicole was going to teach today, but she's not feeling too good. So it was an opportunity for me to swoop in and take the class, and I'm excited. So I'm stoked on today's because it's all about winning with the seller, and the other class that we are going to be going over is working with buyers. Sellers are my favorite. We're going to talk a lot about why that is today. So I say we go ahead and get started, but first I want to share with you a few things. So I'm going to put it into the chat. So I put some links into the chat for everybody. One of them is the participant guide for this class. And the second one is a seller's script book. That thing is gold. It's from the Ignite Toolkit. You may have already seen it, but it's got every seller objection you will probably run into and an answer for it. Now, you can always adapt these answers to your own, how you talk and all that kind of stuff. The more you internalize it, the better it'll come out. So script book is in the chat. Hopefully people that just entered probably can't see it. I'll probably have to put it in there again. Here you go for people that just entered. All right. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So today we're in the transaction stage. I mean, you guys are like almost done with Ignite. How does this feel? Tell me. Are you guys feeling good? Confident? Not confident? Like I didn't learn anything at all? Or give me some feedback.
Feeling better after every class.
I like that. Okay, cool. I like where that's headed. What else?
Hey, when did it start, actually?
Ignite started in mid-January.
Okay.
So it's a 5-week class. There's 2 days a week, and there's 2 hours each class. So there's 2 classes per, and it rotates. So don't worry if you're like, wait a minute, I'm not graduating, and we will let you know. We'll say, hey, you're about to graduate. Here's the classes that you can take. So have no fear. We will repeat them. In fact, they usually repeat every 6 to 7 weeks. So we'll do these 5 weeks. We might take a little bit of a break and catch our breath. And then we usually come back within a week or 2 for the next session. So we're always repeating our classes because we know the agents are coming in midway. And then also it's always good to refresh. And I always like to update the curriculum. So to be honest, I don't think we've ever had the same Ignite twice. Does that make sense? Because you guys know I have ADHD, so I'm constantly trying to do something new, constantly trying to make it snazzier. So this is a new Ignite that no one's ever experienced before, which is exciting. Okay, so we get it. We're talking about winning with sellers. We're also going to talk about working with buyers and sellers. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about what is an A seller? How do we get the appointment? What's the pre-listing packet need to look like? How does the listing appointment need to go down? A little bit about the listing agreement, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back into the last half. So this is from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Gary Keller says, while leads are vital to your sales business, seller listings are critical to your ability to build it to its highest level with the lowest costs and highest net. You'll learn, and you'll hear this, that you need to, if you want to last, you need to list. So you list to last. And the reason being is that for every buyer that you take out and show property, there are hours of time, gas, money, all of that put into going out and showing property. In fact, you could probably only work about 6 buyers at a time. I've been that buyer heavy. It's chaotic and you are working a lot, especially because not all of them have jobs. So you're working when they're not working, and therefore you're servicing 6 clients in a part-time basis, right? But listings, I can have unlimited listings because listings are a 1 appointment, maybe 2 appointment situation. And there's a lot of leverage that goes into it and a lot of automation. Every listing that you get is an opportunity for more business through buyer leads. My listings that I have in the little mobile home park on Greenback, I think we've got a total of like 20 leads off of those. And Melinda's working with 2 buyers right now. One of them is actually buying a condo. They can afford way more. And so they're going to buy a condo now. And then another one is getting pre-approved right now to buy my other listing in the park. So you can take a listing and you can turn it into several transactions, and therefore it's amazing leverage for your business. So if you can put some focus into finding others that want to sell real estate, not just buy, sell, then you can have a pretty robust business. So let's talk about how do we find A sellers. A qualified sellers are considered people who are able, ready, and willing to do business in the next 14 days. This means they're financially able to complete the transaction now. They're ready and motivated to make strategic decisions, and they're willing to act now. If you intend to capture mind share of A sellers, you need to be following up with them daily to secure the appointment. Our goal is for all our seller leads to get an appointment so we can get the listing agreement and sell the house. Listings give us additional benefits though. But you want to go after sellers now. You're going to have a list of sellers that are in between A, B, and C. A is 14 days or sooner, like they're ready to list the home these next 2 weeks. B sellers are people that are like 30 days out, and C would be 30 days or more. And the way that you follow up with them is according to how quickly they're going to get on the market. If you're trying to secure the appointment every day, like they said, every day. If you're attempting to, if you've gotten the appointment and they're just not putting it on the market yet, right? Or they just haven't listed with you yet, then I would probably move to a weekly checking in with them. Sometimes sellers will meet with me and not sign a listing agreement just yet. And that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes that's okay. It doesn't mean that they're not going to work with you. It just means that they're not signing paperwork just yet. So just keep that in mind. There's different levels of people that are going to be in your pipeline. And so C sellers are people that are out. Like they want to sell their home, but maybe there's a condition or something standing in the way. Like there could be lots of different reasons, but those people are out. All of them need to be followed up with. C sellers, it depends on how quickly they need to sell. 60 days, I'm probably going to follow up with them weekly or every other week. If it's 90 days or out, I'm probably going to follow up with them on a more every other week to monthly basis. You just don't want to fall off the face of the earth with people. Does that make sense? Sometimes they're going to ignore you. You're going to text or call one of your clients in this process and they're going to ignore you. And that's okay. Don't stop texting or calling. Don't let that stop you. If you do, then you're giving up that professional courtesy, right? Them not calling you is not a problem. They're the client. But you calling them is a mandatory thing because they're your client and you're the professional on the other end. So once I started thinking about it like that, I'm not bothering them. I'm the professional that's being assigned to the job. So I need to make sure that I follow up with them on a regular basis. Totally changes my attitude about it. And I'm very on top of it. So there's the 3 L's of the MREA, and all of our clients are amazing and we're all grateful to them for choosing us, and we need to give our best work and efforts, and sellers are special because they bring us a listing. And as we've discussed this before, the basis of a great real estate business are leads, listings, and leverage. And we love listings because they bring us not just a commission, but the ability to build a relationship for repeat and referral business. A seller is usually going to buy another property down the line, right? They bring the best marketing opportunity to get more leads. So that's why it's a triangle, but it actually goes in a circle, because if you have listings, you have the leverage to get more leads, right? And they give us control of our time as well, because I don't have to take a seller out and show them a ton of property, right? So here's the virtues of seller listings, and we'll go over them. Seller listings mean marketing opportunities. So I want to hear from you guys. What are some of the marketing opportunities you think you would have with a listing?
Being able to get new clients.
Well, yeah, but what kind of marketing would you be able to put out there if you have a new listing?
The sign outside on the street.
Absolutely. You're going to have a sign outside on the street. Okay. What else?
Facebook ads.
Facebook ads. Absolutely. Just being able to post. Yeah. Just being able to post the listing in general.
And be able to farm the neighborhood, huh?
Farming the neighborhood. I love it. Yes. Farming the neighborhood. That's actually how I had a list. That's how I've gotten multiple other listings from my listings, is because once I have a listing there, I start mailing to that neighborhood, or I'll drop flyers. I start marketing to that neighborhood because I know there's going to be another listing in there somewhere. There's at least, if mine's up, there's at least 2 or 3 other listings in that neighborhood that are just waiting to pop. And if I don't go out there and let them know that I'm the listing agent that's helping these people, then I'm missing an opportunity. Okay, tell me what else.
Well, if you're listing online, you've got that, click here to speak to the agent.
Absolutely. 100%. So I'm getting sign calls. I'm getting people that are like, oh, you're the listing agent, so you're in charge of the listing. So if they want any detailed information, they'll just call me. I've actually had buyers that I'm working with call the listing agent directly. And I'm like, I need more listings so that they're calling me, right? Being able to market to the neighborhood. The seller sending there's just so much. There's so much that comes from that. The sellers live in the neighborhood. They're going to talk to their neighbors, all of that. Okay. You have more control over your time with listings. Well, like I said, a listing appointment, you can break that down if you're good with your listing package, which we're going to talk about, a pre-listing package, which you have access to in the Ignite toolkit. You guys all have a pre-listing package in there in the sellers folder. A listing appointment could be maybe an hour, maybe. I send my listing documents via DocuSign after the appointment, so it's not a long appointment that we have to go through. Pictures, I meet the photographer. Sometimes I don't even have to meet the photographer. The seller does. So, but most of the time I like to meet the photographer. I'm there for like 30 minutes. And then getting it online, it takes another, maybe an hour or so to get everything together and put it online, and transaction coordinator takes care of the paperwork. So to be honest, it's probably per listing in the grand scheme to get it on the market, a couple hours worth of work, genuinely. But with a buyer, you could be out showing property for hours, weekends, evenings. And again, you can only have so much bandwidth to work with so many buyers. But because listings are so easily leveraged, then you can have a multitude of listings. Robert, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. So I was just curious, when you pick up that listing and you guys talk about photos, is that something that you negotiate with the seller, or does the seller pay for that, or do we include that in our listing package, or how does that work with like photography?
Yeah, absolutely. So I charge 6% for listing property, and photography is included in that. In fact, professional photography is a must. And I also get a marketing video created. The marketing video serves as a trophy for me because I use it on my YouTube channel. And then it also is just a piece that it's about $350 for me to do both. And it's included in my price. Now that's what I do. Now, again, commissions are not standardized. Fees are not standardized. You could potentially offer them something different, but that's just what I choose to do. A lot of other agents include the pictures in the price. So getting a listing costs money. That's why a lot of people start out working with buyers, because all it costs you is your time and gas. But when you're working with sellers, you're going to need to put some money out there, because you're going to have to at the very, very least, get the professional photography and the video done. You don't have to put a sign in the yard. I mean, like the real estate gods might strike me down, but I have not put a sign in the yard, and I've sold a home in a week, because it's the sign. It's rare that people are driving around looking for sale signs. They're finding 98% of people are finding it on the internet. And so the for sale sign is really for me to gather leads. In my 8 years, I have sold one house to somebody who called on the sign. So signs are worth it because of that one time, but there's been times that I don't have a sign in the yard for various reasons. Maybe the seller doesn't want it or something like that. So at the very least, you're taking professional photography, which is going to be at least $200.
Now, Amy, do you have like a preferred photographer that you would recommend we go with when that first listing comes up? Is there someone that you like to go to?
Yeah, on our preferred. So it's actually, that information is in multiple locations. So our preferred vendor list in the Ignite Toolkit has a few photographers on there. And then in the working with sellers document, there's like in the seller folder, there's a working with sellers document. It goes, this is the exact things that you need to do to get ready for your listing. There's a photographer in there. There's a sign company in there. There's a sign post company. All of that good stuff is in there.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, hold on. I have to. So sorry. Go ahead, Christina.
Sorry, I'm driving.
Okay. I understand.
If the seller backs out while you're still under contract, do you bill them for your expenses, or do you just call that a loss?
Sometimes you got to call it a loss. I say it's a cost of doing business. So if the seller backs out, it's most likely for me. I've had one seller cancel in the last year, and I lost the photo cost. But it's because the market shifted very rapidly and they couldn't get what they thought they could get for it. And I was like, no, I get it. I'll eat the cost. It's not a big deal. Those were very certain circumstances. But no, most of the time, if they've canceled on me or if they back out, it's at least rare for me. But I've never charged anybody. I'm sure there's people that, I used to be on a team, and the owner of that company did charge, but only if they canceled before he got it on the market. So if he was able to get it on the market and have a chance at selling it, then he would eat the cost. But if they never got it to market, then he would ask them to reimburse him. Jason has a question.
Just tap pay now and just touch your card to the front.
Okay. Yes, yeah. I'll be right back with you in a minute. Yeah. So my question was with the listing presentation. You mentioned that you would send over the actual contract for them DocuSign. So I'm wondering, do you actually go over the contract with them physically in person, or that's something that you don't go over?
I do go over it. Yes, I do go over it. I go over each paragraph in a very succinct and short way, because they are not looking for you to explain to them how you do your job, to be honest. Most of them do not want to go over that at all. And I try to feel it out. So I'll ask them, would you like me to go over this with you line by line, or do you want me to give you the Cliff Notes version? Half of the time they're like, I want the Cliff Notes version. And so that's what I do. Knowing that contract forwards and backwards, very paramount to be able to do that. The only reason that I'm able to break it down into concepts that a 6-year-old would understand is because I know it very well. So I think that's an important piece too. In the chat, we have a question. How important are aerial shots, if at all? Will it make or break if you don't have a bird's eye view? I don't do aerial shots. Sacramento County has multiple airports, and so sometimes you can't even do aerial shots or drone footage because they won't even let you in the air. So no, I don't do aerial shots. It depends. If it's a large estate and it's something that needs to be shown, or if it's a plot of land. So if it's a plot of land, I like to do aerials because nobody wants to see a picture of like a piece of dirt. They want to see where is it located, what's the parameters. So I'll do something like that, but it doesn't have to be there all the time. Okay. You're welcome. Thank you for all the questions. I love those. Oh, Robert's got one more.
So when you said that you do the pictures, you provide the pictures, you provide the video, specifically my question is in regards to the video. Are you referring to like the 3D video when you click on the listing on MLS and then or Zillow or Realtor or whatever, and you go inside and it takes you from room to room? Is that type of video? Or are you referring to the video where you see like on Reels on social media where they say, hi, well, my name's Amy from Main Street Coaching, and this is 123 Main Street. Come check out our property or something like that, you know?
Yeah. I'll show you. Hold on one second. So I do not do, it's my YouTube page. I don't do property walkthroughs yet. I do like those. I think those are super cool. I think that's more about selling me than selling the house, to be perfectly honest. That's what I believe about those.
Yeah, I like those. I tend to.
I like those too. But I just
me when I see like some realtors that are my friends that I follow online. I wonder like how do they do that? Like it looks so professional. The words pop up, and they give you that nice little background music.
Yeah, anybody can do that. You can do that with your cell phone. Super easy. I don't personally do that. Here's what I do. All of these videos are from properties that I've sold. So can you see it? No, you can't see it. Hold on. Here, I'll start it. Okay, can you see it now? Okay, so I think that's enough. So that's what I use. Did everybody see that?
Looked like we were just getting to the climax.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I like shut it? I shut it down too soon. Sorry, guys. I just, in the interest of time, I can't play you the whole video. But does that make sense? It's just a very simple video of the house.
Now, you did that yourself, Amy, or did you pay someone to do that?
No, that's included in my $350.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then if I want him to do more, I will. Like if I say, hey, I want you to do this or that, or like if I want more captions in there, he'll probably do that for me too. So yeah, I like the walkthrough videos of people like walking through, but I just haven't done them yet. That's a lot of production because then you have to get the photographer. I mean, I'm sure he'd do that for me too. I should talk to him, but Patrick's great. He'll do whatever. Any other questions? Okay, cool. So to finish this out, seller listings. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Seller listings. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have a question. How long do you make your listing agreements for?
Mine are
30,
for
60?
Mine are for a year.
Thanks.
Yeah, like no matter what. I don't care if your home will sell in 7 days. So you got to stick with me for a year. And the reason being is that the way that I sell it or I don't even need to sell it. I just tell people. So one thing that I came to this realization because I was talking to some other agents that are pretty successful in the business and they're closers, right? And I was talking to them about, how we ask questions of the seller, but none that they can say yes or no to. I only ask questions of them that they can say yes to. Otherwise, so it's questions they say yes to, questions that are open-ended so that they can elaborate on things and like discuss their feelings and motivations and all that kind of stuff. But most of the time I'm telling them what we're going to do. So, if I get done with my presentation, I don't say, are you ready to sign the paperwork? I say, all right, the next steps are we're going to approve the paperwork so that we can get started on getting what we want done. And then I just tell them what's going to happen next. And I think that that's very helpful when working with buyers or sellers. So, so I just tell them, I'm like, so listing agreement is going to be set for a year. The reason being, we don't know what could happen. Something could happen and you decide to put it on hold for a while. This gives us the leeway to do that.
Amy, another question. This type of listing, is it an exclusive right to sell listing?
Always.
Always, right?
Always.
You don't take open listings or
No.
What's the other one? There's like a third one, isn't there?
I don't even know because I only take
exclusive right to sell.
It's only exclusive right to sell. Yeah, I'm not going to put my money out there if it's not just me. Yep. That's pretty standard though. Yes.
I have a question. So when you're doing it for a year and say the house sells in 7 days, why would you continue to have the year with them? Like, I'm trying to understand the reasons why. No,
you don't. You just have a year to sell the house.
Got it. Okay.
Once it sells, the listing is done.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The reason I asked is because I see a lot of homes that go up for listing and they're up for like 60 days and then they'll switch agents and switch agents and switch agents. And I'm wondering how they get out of the contract.
The agents are probably doing that as a selling tactic. I've taken a shorter listing. So I've taken a shorter listing, but that was something that the seller demanded. And then I was like, okay, like, I guess we can do that. But I've had a seller say, well, I only want to have the listing for 60 days. I said, that's not fair. It's going to take me 60 days to sell your home. So I'm pretty like honest with people and upfront. I'm not rude. I'm just like, well, that's not really fair. Like I need more than 60 days. Average days on market are 30. You could, 60 days, that means we'd have to put it on the market today. and then we can, even when homes were selling in 7 days, I'm like, you don't know what the market could say about your home. I mean, I can tell you my opinion and you can have your opinion, but it's really up to the buyers out in the market. And I want to give you enough time and you've got to give me enough time. So let's make this a win-win so that you can get what you want and I can help you there. But that happens more often when you're working like internet leads for sell by owners, expireds. And I think that really comes in the absence of value, just being honest. I know what I'm doing when it comes to selling houses and I know about houses. So I think that I'm able to communicate that. So that's important, you need to know your stuff and know your numbers and know your value. And then it's easier for you to command that people sign a listing like that. But like I said, I've taken shorter ones, but I can't take it too short to where I won't have a chance to earn my money back. That's not fair to me. I can't put money on the line. And I tell them that I can't put money on the line and skin in the game if you don't give me enough time to play the game. Jason.
So my question to you is, you mentioned about the money that you invest in listing a property. You couldn't have that in writing prior to you, spending money or coming out of pocket, have it in the contract. Hey, if you terminate this lease or this contract before whatever time frame.
Yes, you can. Yeah, absolutely.
I would like, you're going to pay me X amount of dollars. And you're pretty much, what should be equivalent to whatever you're spending, or you figure you're going to spend on that actual listing, $300, $400, $500, whatever.
Yes, you can absolutely do that if you want to. I don't.
Okay.
I don't. It's a cost of doing business. You got to spend money to make money.
Gotcha.
But I don't have a lot of listings that are canceling on me. So I think that's another thing that you would want to consider is why do you think people are going to cancel on you? One, and make your services so bulletproof that they don't want to. That's my go-to for that. But if you want to protect yourself, but yeah, I don't put it in there. My previous, like I said, I used to be on a team and he would put it in there and he said, if you cancel this listing after expenses have been incurred and prior to receiving a bona fide offer, then you will reimburse the listing agent with once receipts provided. So yeah, he definitely had that in there. I don't put it in mine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I would check with the broker. So if you're going to write anything in like that, if you're adding anything to the contract, then you're going to want to run it by Bruce. You can run it by me, but I'm probably going to just call Bruce and say, hey, Bruce, what about this paragraph? Do you think you should write it in any other way? Just because he'll make it ironclad. So that way you can actually stick to it.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I don't pass on. So everything is included in my fee. I don't pass on any of my fees onto my sellers. Like I don't pass on pictures. I don't pass on TC fees. I don't pass on transaction fees. I cover everything with my commission. They just pay me my commission rate, but other people do other things. Okay. So sellers, maximize your per hour compensation. Sellers create volume through the many leads that you'll receive. With seller listings, you're on the front end of pricing. So that's another thing is that you'll get really, really good at pricing when you're selling listings. And properly marketed seller listings bring you more business. We talked about that. So let's go over the 7 seller step service cycle. It's in your participant guide. We've talked about a lot of models. Keller Williams is the model for real estate. And so the 7 cycles is the 7 cycles of what your seller is going through and what you need to pay attention to in your customer experience. So number 1, lead conversion. This is your lead generation and your follow-up. What does that look like? How quickly are you getting to your leads and how quickly are you following up with them? It's important for you to follow up with your leads right away. If someone calls you and says, hey, I have somebody for you. My cousin's sister's brother's cousin is selling their house and they're looking for a realtor and you should call them. Here's their number. Call them then. Call them right then and leave a message and say, this is Amy, or this is who I am. I'm with Keller Williams or whatever your companies you want to call your real estate company. This person is the one that gave me your number. They said that you were looking to sell your property. Happy to talk to you more about what you're looking to do. Give me a call back, right? And then text them. Text them right afterwards too. If you have their email, email them. Urgency is key when working with leads, right? And then follow up. If they don't get back to you, act like that bothers you and keep getting out to them, right? So if somebody doesn't get back to me, I think about it. I'm like, oh, they never got back to me. Here, let me call them again. Right? Now, we are the pursuers because we are the business owners. They are our clients and therefore they are the pursuees. We need to pursue them. No one is going to call you over and over and over again to do business with you. They're probably never even going to call you in the first place to do business with you. They're just going to think about doing business. And then whoever calls them first is going to get their business. And that's how it works. So make sure that you're following up diligently. Pre-listing. So you all have a pre-listing packet available to you in the Ignite Business Resources Toolkit that is given out to everybody. It is awesome. It is customizable. You can put all your data and name in there and it's great. And it explains to them a lot of things such as pricing and timing of the market. There's prepping the house information, but a pre-listing packet will set you apart. Me personally, I like to send them my pre-listing packet, which is actually just my listing packet. It's literally the exact same thing. I send them my listing packet, the comps for their neighborhood. I don't set a price. I don't tell them a price. So pre-listing packet or listing packet, comps for which includes comps for the neighborhood, and then the listing documents and seller disclosures. You can print samples of listing documents and seller disclosures, and it'll say sample across it, and you can send it to them ahead of time. This is what prevents me from having to go over all of this stuff in detail. Also, when you're presented with new information, do you like to make decisions like that? Who doesn't make decisions when presented with new information? Like, do you make that a habit? I do now, because I'm like the impulse kind of girl. So I'm like, yeah, let's just buy the Corvette and the motorcycle and the everything in 1 month. Yeah, no, right? Now I'm like, oh, I really want to buy this. Oh my God, I really want to do this. Okay. I go look at it. I want it. I want it. I want it. And then I'm like, no. And I have to shut myself down and walk away and go sleep on it. Why do I have to do that?
Let that heart rate settle, let the emotions fade away, and try and make a logical decision.
I want to make a logical decision. Have you ever?
I'm sorry, but as it relates to like a contract, I think it's important to like really sit back and, you know, most people don't even read, but it's important. I learned from my past. Let me take the contract and let me go ahead and read through it first.
at least skim it, y'all. At least skim it, right? Okay. So yeah, Amy is trying to protect Amy, right? I'm trying to protect me from myself because I'm a hot mess and I'll just like buy anything and write it. I'm like, yes, I love it. I'll sign it up. I love it. Let's do it. Okay. So most people, once they reach a certain age, usually the home buying age, they kind of fix themselves of this problem of just signing anything, right? And you're hitting them with a lot of information. Not only are you hitting them with market data, you're hitting them with other properties they've never seen, pictures, words, concepts, talking. And I know I sound like a kindergarten teacher, but that's a lot to overload a brain with. Like, that is a lot. Okay. So you're overloading them with information. And then also they just met you when you showed up to their door, and all of this information was just presented to them in the last hour. And then you're like, okay, would you like to list with me? It's like, they're going to say no 9 times out of 10. And now you've got to come back a second time. Now you got to go back, or you have to reiterate, or you have to send more information. It's just a hot mess. So here's what I do. I get together my listing packet and comparables, and I pick comparables all in a range. Like, what's the best house in the neighborhood, the crappiest house in the neighborhood, and a little in between, right? And I send them that. And I say, these are recent sales in your neighborhood. There's some literature on the market and selling your property and the principles of real estate. There's like curb appeal stuff, staging stuff, like all this stuff, right? I send them that, and I send them the listing contract, as well as all the seller disclosures that they will need to fill out, which is the TDS and the SPQ. Everything else is standard disclosures, but they have to fill out those 2 things. I send that to them 1 to 2 days before my appointment. And I say, if you read through all of this, you'll cut our appointment time in half. They love it because they don't want to meet with me for an hour and a half. It's like a Thursday evening at 5 o'clock. They would much rather not be doing this. Or it's like Saturday and they want to go to the farmer's market, but instead they've got some blonde real estate agent sitting in their kitchen, right? Like, they don't want to spend an hour and a half with you. So I send it to them ahead of time, and I make them feel really comfortable with me because I'm not presenting them with brand new information, a brand new contract that's 16 freaking pages long, and telling them sign on the dotted line. So by the time I show up, they're very educated people, and it's so much easier for me because I walk in and they're like, no, we get it. We looked at the comps, but we know we probably need to list a little bit lower. And I'm like, I love you people. You're my favorite clients. And then they're happy to sign the dotted line because I gave them power, and I gave them control over the entire situation. I think hoarding the information and keeping it from them can be to your detriment. The other thing is that it might seem like I'm giving the candy away. I'm not giving them anything. I'm not giving them my expertise. All I am sending them is information for them to educate them. The comps are readily available. They could go look online and find the comps. So I'm not providing them with anything that's proprietary or anything like that, right? I'm providing them with some education, which is important. And then they have time to sleep on it. They've integrated it into their long-term memory, and they feel a lot better about signing that contract when the time actually comes. That's why I can send DocuSigns, because they've already gotten the contract. They've already looked at it. They've seen it all. Jason.
What if you have a situation where, which I've experienced, I did that, sent it on email, sent the comps, and sent something else, and so when I get there, I asked the young lady, hey, so did you, and I texted her know that I sent over things for her to look at, prior to me getting there on email.
Uh-huh.
And when I got to the appointment, I had asked, did she get time, or did she have the time to look at what I had sent her, and she said she didn't.
Yeah,
so it was like I was at ground zero.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah,
in a situation like that, and then I walked away with her, not at the end of all the presentation and all that good stuff, I walked away with her not wanting to sign, but said she's willing to, but not ready until she gets things in order. In a situation like that, what would you do as far as pursuing it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, because I don't know everything that you did. I'm going to be 100% honest. If I did it, I would know exactly where it was that I didn't follow through somewhere. But not everybody's going to sign with you right then and there. Not everybody's going to look at your email. Like I'm talking about 100, like not 100% of the time is everybody going to do that. Some people are not. I don't know how highly you communicated with her ahead of time, how important it is that she does review the information. I don't know that. That's something I do, is I say, it's really important that you go through this. It's going to save us like half the time, right? And also, you need to be educated in this process. You shouldn't be just trusting everybody with the sale of your home. I tell them that, right? So there's one, communicate how important it is, but there's still going to be people that don't want to listen, right? Fine, whatever. I get to the appointment and then I go over things, right? So then I would go over my listing presentation with them. I might be there longer. That's fine. But I have to go over with her. And then I don't know why she wouldn't necessarily sign right away, but I do leave listing appointments without signatures on documents all the time. And it's all about follow-up. So like if she didn't sign that day, then I'd be calling back the next day and I'd be like, hey, I just want to check in with you. Is there anything that I left on the table? Anything that I didn't cover? You might feel like you don't want to move forward. And then I would dig in with her and find out, why doesn't she want to move forward? And find the real reason. It could be, well, I need to get all this stuff done. Okay, well, what do you need to get done? Sometimes you have to be a problem solver for people. Not sometimes, all the time. Sometimes people are like, well, why aren't you selling? Oh, well, I've got all this stuff. What am I going to do with my stuff? Oh, you need help with your stuff? I've sold stuff. Like I've gone to someone's house and taken pictures and put it on Facebook Marketplace and manhandled the whole thing and made her like $2,000 off of her stuff. She paid me $500 just for helping her out doing that. Not saying it's going to happen every time, but like, you got to dig deep with people and just be real and be like, hey, we met. I went over everything with you. Was I not thorough enough? What do you need from me to feel comfortable moving forward? Is there anything I can help with? Right. So I think that the money's really in the follow-up. It's not going to be a home run every appointment, but these are just things that I've developed to help me make it more of the time.
That's awesome information. I totally did exactly what you just said. I did the whole, because when we did the walkthrough, pointed out some things that she needs to tighten up on as far as fixing up the house, paint, cosmetic things, electrical things that she needed to get fixed. I went through all that. And then I even offered my services, even met with the guy at her home that I was going to recommend, as far as with the work. She's a fairly new mother, she just lost her husband, so she's by herself at the house. So I was like, make you feel comfortable. I'll be there at the appointment. I did all that.
Yeah.
And then like the next day she calls me, like, oh, hey, no worry about the other appointment that you have set up. I found somebody. I'm gonna have the work done now. So it's like I'm doing all these things, right? And then like she's shutting the door here or there. And
why is
with that, what's that?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I don't think that's her shutting the door. I think she's getting stuff done. And I just stay in contact with her, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Don't take anything. It's just business. She's just getting stuff done. Yeah, just stay in contact with her.
Look at it.
Yep. Just stay in contact with her. And
I just didn't want to overstep at this point, and I didn't want to be too aggressive, but I was told you can't be too aggressive. You have to be persistent.
You have to be persistent. There's a difference between there's a difference between aggressive and persistent. I am a persistent person. When I want something, I will go and get it. But I'm not aggressive with people. I'm more of like the helping hand, like the mom that just like cares too much. That's me. That's my trope when it comes to lead generation. I'm the mom that cares too much. Like if you tell me you're gonna move into a rental, I'm like, oh honey, why? Like, why? How can I help you? Like, let's get you some down payment assistance. We don't gotta do this renting. That's not good for you, right? I'm not. So find your inner moms and dads and like lean into that with your clients, because it's really not coming from the like, when are you going to list? When are you going to list? It's like, how can I help you get what you want? You said you wanted to list. You said you wanted to sell. You also need to have a little bit of empathy because she lost her husband. She's going through a deep loss, and moving quickly is probably not something that she can manage right now. So come with empathy and just be that helping hand. Just be that helping hand. I mean, I've nurtured listings for like, guys, I've nurtured leads for years. And some of you are going to do that. That's why my listing agreement is a year. Because I tell people, I'm like, things happen in life and you never know where it's going to go. So let's just put it in place to where we are set. And we know that we're going to be okay working together for the next year. If anything goes down, I can sell your home as fast as you want me to, but I also want to be there for you if something trips up. Okay. All right. So pre-listing stuff needs to go to them so that they can make a better decision. The listing consultation, I have in the sellers, there are so many listing consultations on YouTube, you guys, and I love them. And I watch them to this day. I still watch listing consultations because you never know what you're going to see or what you're going to learn. But there's a few that I have put up on the working with sellers sheet. And one of them is a guy named, oh man, his name's slipping my mind. I'm not going to try to think about it, but he's fantastic. And so the listing consultation is about them. It's the who, what, when, where, why, and how do they want to sell their home and move somewhere else? Most people need somewhere to go. So you need to figure out, where are you going? That's my number one question. Where are you going? Where are you going to go? That shows them that you care more about them than you care about selling the house. Find out what they need. What are their goals? How much do they want to buy? How much do they want to sell the house for? There's actually a seller lead sheet in the Ignite Resources Toolkit that has questions that you need to ask them. And that makes up a lot of my listing presentation. Sometimes I don't even open the presentation that I sent them because one, they already looked at it, and two, it's not about them. That's all about comps and what I'm going to do to sell the house. And honestly, I really just care about where they're going, how we're going to get them there, who's making these decisions with them so I can make sure that we're all on the same page. And family, like there's all these jokes about people bringing their families to showings and listing appointments. Bring them. Bring the whole dang family. If your Uncle Joe is whispering in your ear about how to sell a house, I want to meet Uncle Joe and I want him in the room with me because we need to be friends. Because I can't have Uncle Joe whispering on the outside something that I'm not good, right? I need Uncle Joe to love me too. So I bring the family. You want everybody that's going to make a decision on this to know who you are and know what you provide and know your value. Make it about them. Make it a lot about them. Where they're going, how they want to get there, how much they want to sell the house for, what's their bottom line, right? How do they want to run showings? When's it going to be ready for pictures? What help do they need to get pictures, to get it picture ready? Do you need staging service? Staging doesn't always mean hiring a stager. Sometimes it means you just go help them replace their furniture in a better manner. Decluttering, stuff like that. So a lot of my consultation is not, look how great I am, I sell 100 homes. No, I don't even talk about how many homes I sell. Half the people don't even know how many homes I've sold when I go in there. It's strictly about them and what they want. Servicing and marketing. There should be a 16 in transaction. Hold on. All right, let's move on. Sorry, hold on one second. Back to this. Okay, let me look over here, guys. Sorry. All right, so listing consultation. Really, I want you to think about it as a consultation. You're consulting them through the listing process. You're not there to sell them. You're not there to pick the price. You're not there, none of that. Oh, take the Zillow with you. So go look up Zillow, look up the Zestimate, look up everything. Understand what pricing they're seeing, right? The seller lead sheet says, what do you want to sell your home for? The listing agreement specifically states the seller picks the price. What I do is I look at the comparable sales with them and I say, look at these recently sold properties. Which one do you think matches yours the most? And then we look at it together and we have a realistic conversation about it. Okay, well, this home has granite countertops and yours has Formica countertops. So that's quite a bit different, right? Are you willing to put the granite in? No? Okay, cool, no problem. We just have to make sure that we're taking that into consideration when we do our pricing. So it's going through it with them and showing them, does this home look exactly like yours? And if sometimes I go in and they want a price lower than what I even expected to price it at, right? And then you get to tell them great news. Like, well, great news. Your home is actually worth more. So it's not always a challenge on pricing. In fact, pricing is so available nowadays in so many different forms. Most people know what their home is worth. You got to come with the solutions to help make this process very easy for them. So the Ignite Resources has the preferred vendor list, contractors, handyman, lenders to get them pre-approved for their next purchase because they might be buying another property, right? Anything that they might need, estate sales, anything is on there and available for them. So you can help them with this, right? Servicing and marketing is the fourth seller cycle, and servicing and marketing, Command makes it very easy for you to market the listings. The MLS makes it very easy for you to market your listings. You get your professional photos, you upload it into the MLS. That's going to disseminate that listing out to thousands of websites. You don't have to upload to Zillow. You don't have to upload to realtor.com. It's already done for you. Command is going to pick it up automatically and you can start posting it on your social media pages. Marketing is easy. Go drop a flyer on every single door in the neighborhood. Marketing can be very easy. Servicing, you're most likely going to be working with the transaction coordinator. So during the transaction process, there's going to be a transaction coordinator helping you with the paperwork. So the service is going to be, you're going to be able to give great service because you're going to have somebody else that's managing a lot of the timeline for you. Follow up with them weekly. Every week you need to be updating your seller on what's going on with the listing. Even if there's nothing going on. I've had a listing for like, I don't know, I think we're going on like 4 months now. And there were times where there's absolutely no activity whatsoever. And I called her on Monday and I said, hi, I'm just going to give you an update. There hasn't been any activity over the weekend. You know what it is. The market is what it is right now. Our price is what it is right now. We can hold out. We can hold out for the market to change, or we can change our price. It's completely up to you. What would you like me to do here? And that's how I just talk to my clients, like have a normal conversation. This is what's going on with the property. And it's like, the more you try to add on jargon and talk it up, like, oh, 50 people clicked on your listing. It's like nobody's left an offer and nobody's shown the property. It doesn't matter how many people clicked on the listing online. Nobody's given an offer. Nobody's shown the property. we need to drop the price, or we have to wait for the market to change. It's up to you. Offers and negotiations is the 5-step. Offers and negotiations. When you have an offer, and you are in the middle of negotiations, that's where coaching comes into major play. So obviously coaching is here for all of your training and all of that. But when you start writing offers and going into these listings and that's when coaching really comes into play, to make sure that you're negotiating in the best interest of your clients, that we're reviewing the offers with you, that we're doing all the things with you so that you can feel really confident about making these big decisions. And then contract close. I don't know if you guys, we have an entire class on contract close, which is exciting. So we'll go over that then. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip forward kind of quickly because I want to make sure that we're getting through all of this. So converting A sellers, you're going to respond right away to the leads, get valid and complete contact information, save it to command, create an opportunity. So as soon as you have an appointment with them, create an opportunity in command. You don't have to put it all the way through to getting the listing just yet. Just create the opportunity so it's sitting there. I love to track that, because if you don't get the listing, you can know that this was somebody that wanted to list with you at one point in time. You met with them, and you can work those opportunities. Determine their motivation to sell so you can speak to it. So you have to know, why are they selling? If they have no reason to sell, probably not a great market for them to be selling it if they don't have a major motivation. If they're just testing the market, not really the market you want to test on right now, right? Set the appointment, pick the time and date for as soon as possible. So I don't set seller appointments for weeks out, especially if they're online looking for home valuations. That means that they're online talking to other realtors. I don't want to let any realtor get in between me and them. So I usually try to set it, if they call me, like within 24 to 48 hours is when I'm trying to get into that house. So I immediately pull comps. I immediately put together. I have a pre-listing packet that's already prepared. All I have to do is put comps into it and it's good to go. And I have the sample listing agreement and sample stuff. I have it all in this seller folder. So whenever I have an appointment, all I have to do is run comps really quick, pull the comps for the neighborhood, throw them into my listing packet, and then I email the listing packet. I email the sample documents. It's like takes me 20 minutes. That's why I can set appointments within 24 hours, because I'm already ready to go. So send them all that information before your appointment. What do sellers care about the most? Number one, they want help pricing the home competitively. They know that overpriced homes don't sell. It's pretty common now. I think we've beat it into most people's heads, but there's still some people out there that need some convincing, but most sellers want you to help them price it. They want you to help the market to potential buyers. Pretty easy. I think we got both of those things covered with just our marketing, just our pre-listing packet will explain that. They want you to sell it within a specific time frame. Trust that not everybody wants to sell their home tomorrow. Ask them when they want to sell. That's why questions are really important. If I sold your home in 30 days, would that pose a problem for you? That is a question on the seller lead sheet in the Ignite toolkit. If I sold your home in 30 days, would that pose a problem for you? And someone would say, no, not at all. That's what I need. Or yes, that would, because I need more time, right? 16% want help finding ways to fix the home to sell it for more. So in your pre-listing packet, there's actually documentation that explains that to them. In Cloud CMA, which is another listing presentation software that you can use that's free through the MLS, it has paperwork in there that will tell them what's curb appeal, what are the best ways to stage their home, what things should they fix up that are going to make them money, stuff like that. As you talk to the seller and get the appointment, remember that these conversations are actually laying the foundation for your whole relationship. And your first goal is to build connections and confidence and trust in you. So be confident, show attentive professionalism, ask them the questions that need to be asked. lead the appointment versus letting them lead the appointment. The person that's asking the questions is in control. And your focus during this process is not to sell the house. It's about providing them value and helping them through this real estate need, right? They need to experience what it's like to work with an agent who asks questions and listens and cares about them. That's what's actually most important. The sale is completely separate. And if you treat it like that, you'll get lots of referrals in the future. 7, close the appointment tactics. So show the benefits of listing with you. So you're going to put their home on the MLS. You're going to put their home all over your social media. Highlight how many friends do you have on social media? How many likes does your business page have? How many people do you have in your database that you're going to be showing their property to? How many websites? Thousands. I'm telling you, thousands of websites are going to see it as soon as you put it on the MLS. That's a benefit to working with you. Some other benefits to working with a real estate agent is not being the homeowner and emotionally attached to the property, having a logical sense, doing this every day, having the training that you have, which shows you the process of selling a property, right? The take back close. So this is called the takeaway. The takeaway is for people that are kind of like what Jason was dealing with, where they don't listen. They're not really, well, she's probably listening, but she didn't read this paperwork. Maybe she's on the fence. She's kind of giving you the like, or he is kind of giving you the like, you know, I don't really have to sell. And that's called, it's the takeaway. It's like, well, maybe now's not the right time for you to sell. You know, it might not even be the right time for you to put your home on the market. You should, maybe you need to keep it. My favorite first thing that I ask every single person I sit down with at a listing agreement is, why are you selling your property? You should keep it. You should keep this. You should rent it out, and you should let me help you find property management, and you should start making cash flow and save yourself up for retirement. Why don't sell a property? A property in California is a gold mine. That's literally the first thing I say to every single person. What do you think that does for them?
They know that you're on their side, like you're like a fiduciary with what's financially best for them, not just trying to get a sale out of them.
Yeah. It completely disarms them. I no longer have the like salesperson thing between us. They're like, oh, well, I didn't think about being a landlord. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's totally possible. I'm a landlord. Do you want to be a landlord? Because they still have to buy a house, yo. Like if they sell that home, or if they rent out that home, they still got to buy a home. And if you help people make money like that, they'll refer everybody to you. I know, because I've done it several times. People didn't even think about being landlords, and then I helped them do it, right? So disarmament is also a way for you to take back the power in the appointment. And that's kind of what the take back close is, right? Giving them the takeaway of like, well, maybe it's just not the right time for you to sell. That's taking back the power in the appointment, because it's kind of leaning on them. Negative positive close that's like negative present, positive future. This is why finding motivation is so important with your sellers, is because you want to touch in on the pain points so that you can say it's negative right now. But if you sell your home and you get into that next home, remember that positive future? So things like a seller doesn't want to list the home at the lower price that they need to list it at, but they really need to get to Texas to be with their kids, because their kids are there and they're here alone, and they really need to be with their kids. Well, sometimes we have to remind them of that and say, hey, look, like, I get it. That price is not necessarily everything that you thought it would be. But if we can get you close enough to that price or above, you know, then you can leave it behind, be done with this, take your money and run and go be with your kids in Texas, right? This is negative right now. Yeah, it doesn't feel that great to have to sell your home. Repairs, when repairs come up, I use this with sellers a lot. Like, I get it. I get that this is tough on you, and you might not want to get these repairs done, or you don't want to give this credit. But look, if we get this done and we can stick with these buyers, we're that much closer to getting you to X, right? So negative future, or negative present, positive future. Give them what they're looking for. So when you sit down with a seller and they say, well, what's your commission? Tell them what your commission is. Tell them right up front. Tell them right away, well, I charge this. Can I tell you why? Or can I tell you what you will get for this? Can I explain to you what my value is? Just be honest, right? Give them exactly what they're looking for. I like to ask them up front, what's your biggest fear about this whole process? What's keeping you up at night? That's going to tell you everything you need to know. Your entire presentation should be wrapped around those one or two things. And you should focus on those, because whatever's keeping them up at night, that's what they're most worried about. If you can solve that for them, they'll hire you for the job. A trial close is like a soft close. Like maybe you need to set up a second appointment. Maybe you ask them to approve a portion of the document, not necessarily the entire document, but it's a trial close. So it's asking them to commit to something. Maybe you ask them to commit to a date of pictures, right? And you say, okay, well, in order to get your home on the market in the time frame that you want to get it on, I'm going to need to get pictures done at around this time in order to have them back in time. So can we have you commit to this appointment with the photographer? And then as you get them to agree to that, say, okay, great. So in order for me to set that appointment with the photographer, we'll just need to approve the paperwork. So let's go ahead and move forward with that, right? You're getting them to agree and nail down something so that they can say yes and commit to one thing. And then it will help you lead them into a further commitment. I always use the assumptive close, y'all, always. And I hope you're seeing what I'm seeing and I'm not just talking about randos. Okay, good, I am. I'm always using the assumptive close. I assume at the open house, as soon as you walk through the door, that you're my brand new client and we just met for the first time today. And you're going to give me your phone number and we're going to work together. And that's how I get a lot of people to give me their phone number. So I use the assumptive close through everything. I just assume that if I'm sitting in front of you, that we're going to work together. So I talk a lot in we. I talk a lot about what we're going to do to get the job done. I talk about setting appointments. Like I'm already saying, thank you so much for working with me. I'm so excited to be here. And I really appreciate this opportunity. When you work with me, you work with a small business and you work with a woman-owned small business and you help me feed my kids. Thank you. Like I tell them that in the beginning so that they already feel like a little like attached, right? Assumptive close is huge and I use it consistently throughout. And then tie downs. Does anyone know what tie downs are?
Only
No.
for construction.
Or other things. Okay. Tie downs are getting them to say yes. If you can get someone to say yes a bunch of times, they're more apt to say yes the final time when you need them to actually say yes to the real thing. So tie downs sound like, does this make sense? So, we're going to need to list your property. I know that over the course of the last 2 years, you've seen prices just through the roof. And I love those prices too. I mean, I make as much money as you make, right? If I sell the home for more money, I make more money, you make more money, we're all on the same team. The thing is that we need to actually price in this current market, in this reality, because I want to make sure that you can get to Texas to be with your kids. And so does that make sense? That's why I want to bring the house. That's why I want to bring the pricing down just a little bit so that we can make sure that we're getting the most of the market. Am I making sense? Right? How do you get that? Right? Things like that. Am I tracking here? That's a tie down. There's all kinds of tie downs. But my favorite is, does that make sense? Because nobody is going to say that doesn't make sense if it makes sense, right? Especially if it's logical. All right. When a question versus objectives. So a question, asking you a question is not necessarily an objective. Questions are good. Objections are good. Objections are good. Questions are good. That's a buying sign. That means that somebody's interested. If they were interested, they would just tell you no. So a question, anything. If somebody asks me a question, I'm like, let me answer it, right? When an objection comes up, you want to handle it. You're probably like, oh, I don't know how to handle objections. Questions are easy to answer because I can always say, well, I don't know the answer to that, but I can get back to you with the answer. But an objection is like, I need to be able to hit that right on the head. In the Ignite, in the script book, actually, that I put in the chat. In fact, I will re-put it in there for you guys, for people that just entered. There you go, script book. It's amazing. Oh, hold on. Everyone, there you go. Now you have it.
So how would I save that in my phone?
Click on the link.
Okay.
And then you can email it to yourself or text it to yourself or
Okay.
save it in a Google Drive. There you go. There's a ton of seller objections in there, objections that you're going to receive, and then responses for it. You have to brush up on those. Objections are hard no matter where you are in your business. Sometimes I get an objection. I'm like, oh my God, that's a good one. Legitimately, I will let them know if I'm like, that's a really good objection. And I actually don't really know that, but let me ask you, why is that important to you? Sometimes you can find out that some things they're being devil's advocate. Have you ever met somebody that just loves being devil's advocate? It's so frustrating. I'm the opposite. I'm like the gullible one. I'm like, oh, really? Oh my God. Okay. So devil's advocates to me, I'm just like, but some people are like that. And so sometimes you just got to ask them, like, why is that important to you? Or is that really affecting you right now? Is that really something that you believe in and it affects you? Or is it just you kind of playing devil's advocate? Okay, pre-listing packet. We want to be super purposeful. I feel like we need a break. Do you guys feel like you need a break? Shout out. Yes, no? No? I don't see any yeses. All right, well then let's roll through it. Okay, so pre-listing packet goals, it's a pre-sell. We already talked about this. Build the seller's confidence, answer questions and objections before your presentation. It kills so many questions that I have to answer about silly things that are pretty common. Saves you time, makes it experience. It's a lot shorter. You're going to tackle common objections. Most people do look through the information. Most people do. You may want to give them more time to do so. But from the most part, I still have people that don't, just like I told Jason. I mean, it's going to happen. One thing that it does show is that I'm a professional and that I'm prepared and I have my stuff together. So at least I got that much. Questions. Will you review it on the list in the listing presentation? That's somebody, these are some questions that you might be asking. Will I review it in the listing presentation? Does it eliminate the need for a listing consultation? And is it a primer for education that you can provide at the listing consultation? So I review it at the listing presentation. I reference back to it a lot. I'm like, hey, you remember in my documents it talked about this. Even if they didn't read it, I'll still say, remember in my documents it talked about this. Oh, here, I always take it with me. So even if I send it to them ahead of time, I'm still printing it out and taking it with me to the appointment so I can reference back to it. So I say, oh, you didn't look at it? Okay, well, here, about, right? Here's all the stuff that you didn't look at. It does not eliminate the need for a listing consultation. And I tell my clients that too, because you'll get some high Ds out there and they're like, do you really need to come over? Yes, I have to see the house. I have to see the house, you guys. Your level of clean and somebody else's level of clean are usually two very different things. My level of what is high end and your level of what is high end could be two very different things. And it's probably not the way you think it is, because you guys, I went into this house with a buyer and it was so nice to me because I'm country, and the house was like completely remodeled. It was remodeled by someone who I know, who's like really just, she used to own Paragarys. Like I just told it to her and I said, oh my gosh, this is so nice. Like they have high-end countertops, and the buyers were like, this isn't high-end. The look on my face was probably like, oh my God. So I don't say anything anymore. I don't say anything. I don't give any opinion. I don't comment. I ask so many questions. I'm like, what do you think about these countertops? Because I don't want to be the dummy that's like, this is a super nice neighborhood. And they're like, this is trash. And you're trash with it, right? Okay. Jason, you had a question?
Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, in your listing presentation, how do you go about not being rude? Do you all have a pamphlet or some type of a checklist where that can be sent out to the owner, or something that you can go over with in your presentation, your listing presentations? like a checklist of like maybe foul odor, dirty drapes, dirty walls, or paint, or this that, and other. You know, have it on paper instead of it coming out of your mouth, because people can be very sensitive as it relates to their home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one way that I have combated having to give really bad feedback is there's something that happens to our nervous system whenever we're like emotional. And so there's some statements that you can make to people that will help quell their nervous system and prepare them for a blunt force trauma of feedback. And so I always like to say, my job is to look at your home through the eyes of a potential buyer. And not all of them are going to even give us feedback. In fact, most of the time, they're not going to say anything about your house. They're just not going to leave an offer. So what I have done over the years is I've compiled feedback from every buyer that I've ever worked with of what they're looking for in a home. And then I give that to my sellers. So I would like your permission right now for me to give you some feedback from what I've heard from buyers and what they're looking for. And then I never say your carpets are dirty, okay? Because that's a judgment on them. I say buyers are really concerned with the cleanliness of a property. That's actually number one. So I always recommend to my sellers that they get a professional cleaning done before we put the home on the market. Are you willing to do a professional cleaning of the property? Right? Like that has nothing to do with them. It says nothing about them. It's everybody, right? Everybody has to get a cleaning. That's really going to set you apart is your communication style with your clients of like, are you, because yes, the way we live in our home is deeply personal, right? Some of the foods that we cook could be offensive to other people. Some of the things that we keep in place can be offensive. And I just let them know, my job here is to help your home appeal to the masses. And I am not concerned what you do with your home. I have no judgment, but I just want your home to appeal to the masses. So I'm going to give you that kind of feedback. But I always tell my sellers, get the home professionally cleaned, because when people walk through it, they're going to feel it. Right. And then I let them know things that can help you raise the value of your property is new flooring, new paint, new countertops, new fixtures, things like that. And they can usually put 2 and 2 together. Most people are more realistic than we give them credit for. You had another question?
No, that was awesome. That was awesome. Thank you.
Okay, cool. It is definitely a primer for education, and it will help you provide at the listing consultation. I do believe that using the Cloud CMA, I use the Cloud CMA. There's a copy of the Cloud CMA in the Ignite Toolkit. You all have access to it. It's in MetroList. You just have to click on Cloud CMA and you can create your own with comps that you pull, so you can pick the comps and everything. I learned all about pricing from the Cloud CMA. I learned all about curb appeal, all kinds of stuff from the Cloud CMA. So if you just read your own listing presentation, you'll be able to rattle off all kinds of things to them. They're like, well, what should we do? Well, curb appeal is really important. So we want to make sure that we get the property landscaped ahead of time. If you need a landscaper, I can send someone to you. They pay for it. I don't pay for it. I just refer people to them, right? So it can really be a great education tool that you can use to communicate with your clients. Preparation checklist. So there is a preparation checklist in the Ignite toolkit as well. Make sure that you get your pre-listing packet to them. Confirm the appointment date, time, and location the day of. So I always do a little quick text, like just confirming our appointment for today. It gives them, first of all, it's very professional. And then it gives them the opportunity to reschedule with you if they need to. Make sure all decision makers are there. Don't even step foot in a house or deal with it until everybody's going to be there. If there's 2 people on title, both of them need to be there. I literally sat through an entire listing presentation and then in walked the husband. And I was like, fantastic. So glad to meet you right now. Oh my gosh. And I did not get that listing. Peter Parker got that listing because he met with both of them. And I'm like, right? All this work down the drain because I wasn't smart enough to have them both there. Complete and practice your listing presentation. Read through it. Listen to other listing presentations. Like I said, that working with sellers document is chef's kiss. It's got a listing presentation that you can listen to. Kevin Ward is the guy's name. He's great. Kevin Ward's listing presentation. He's fantastic. There's the listing presentation for Cloud CMA for you to practice. And really, I just read it. And once I've read it a couple times, I'm like, I got this. If they ask me a question, I'm just going to regurgitate whatever this thing says. The seller lead sheet, if you haven't asked all of those questions, make sure that you get those questions asked at the listing appointment. It's really going to help set you apart. And then arrive to the listing appointment early. Do not be late. That is like the number one pet peeve of real estate agents, is that they're late. We all talk about it like it's realtor time because everybody's late everywhere all the time. It's the worst. Be on time. Knock on that door at the exact minute that they told you to. And be professional, dress professional. Even if it's your homies, like if it's your best friend in the world, I don't care. My very best friend in the world, I showed up very professional with all of it. And she said to me, we don't have to do this. I said, yes, we do. Because there is no way on earth that we're going to get through this thing and something goes wrong. And you're going to say, you didn't do the professional job that you did. And she was like, okay, calm down. And then we had our appointment. Right? So my parents, I listed their home. I sat down, we had a listing presentation. We went through the whole nines because I want them to know that I'm treating them just like I would treat everybody else. Maybe even better. Right?
That's how you keep your friends too.
That's how you keep your friends. Yeah. And she still refers me business. She's like a rabid fan. It's great. Okay. Listing appointment stuff. Create great first impressions, man. First impressions are everything. You can share your price recommendation, the initial list price for their property and your reason behind it. I tend to stay away from that. I go over the comps and I say, here's what properties in your area have sold for. What do you want to sell your home for? And then if they give me a price that's like woo-woo land, then I start to say, okay, where'd you come up with that price? What's making you think that that's where you want to sell? And try to get them from that. I actually would rather have that conversation before the appointment, because if they want 200 grand more than what everything else is selling for, maybe I don't need to get a babysitter. You know what I mean? So I don't always share my price recommendation until it's necessary. My opinion actually doesn't matter. It was very hard for me to come to that conclusion in life, y'all, but it doesn't. And so I get their opinion on things. I really want to hear what they're thinking, because if they're right, then I can just affirm that they're right and we're all happy campers. If they're wrong, then I can educate them into a place where they might make a different decision. Set expectations, set the proper expectations. Do not overpromise. Do not say we can sell your home in 7 days. Look at how long it's taking most homes right now. I quote more. Like I have a listing that I just put on. I told them 90 days. Average days on market was sitting around 45. I said 90. We're going to need 90 days to even get into contract. And then I got it into contract within 30 days. They love me because I set them up to exceed their expectations. When somebody calls me and needs something, I tell them way longer than it's going to take me every time. Oh, well, you know, when can you get this to me? I know I can get it to them in an hour. I'm going to tell them tomorrow morning. Why? Because I want to look like a badass. Sorry. Oh, sorry. But I want to look like
I do that too. I love it.
All the time, because I want to look like I'm doing an amazing job. And the only way to do that is to set them up for me to show up that way. So set the proper expectations for pricing and everything. Be honest. And I tell people, this is another line that I learned from my mentor. The truth is in short supply in this world. Do you agree? Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. It's so funny. And I say, so I want you to know that I believe that as well. And it pains me. So I'm going to be truthful with you. I'm going to be honest with you in all of my dealings. I'm going to be honest about pricing. I'm going to be honest about the condition of your home, all of it. Okay. So I just want you to know up front that I am going to be 100% honest with you. So we are on the same team here, right? And it just automatically, they're like, yeah, we're on the same team. It gets them into the reality mode of like, all right, this person is going to give me the honest stuff. Your needs. So there's questions in the pre-listing packet, which I think are great. What's one thing that has to happen to make this dream scenario a reality, right? So I love asking them that because they're going to tell you what their expectations are for you to hit it, right? They might have unrealistic expectations. Then you get to educate them into a more realistic space. And then how can I make that happen for you? Like, you're asking them to paint the picture for you instead of you painting a picture of all the amazing things that you're going to do for them, which inevitably is going to set you up to fail. Or if they don't value those things, they're going to be like, I don't care. Like, why is this person telling me they sell 500 homes a year? I don't care, right? Why is this person saying that I can sell? I did that. I used to tell people I can sell homes in 7 days. I'll sell your home in 7 days too. Stupid. Because I missed out on people that didn't want to sell their home in 7 days, right? So it's really more about asking them, what do they want? And then how can I get that for you? How can I make that happen for you? You want to sell your home in the next 30 days and you want to get to where you're going. How can I make that happen for you? Trust me, they've thought about it and they know, well, you can get my home sold for this amount of money. Oh, okay, cool. That gives me a lot of information here, right? Why is that important to you? Favorite comeback of all time. Well, I would like you to list my home for 5%. Oh, why is that important to you? Now I'm asking people to justify their, well, I think the market's going to crash. Oh, why do you think that? Most people think it's going to cause a little fight, right? Going to get a little jump out of people, especially real estate agent. People love telling me the market's going to crash. They're like poking me, right? And all I say is, oh, why do you think that? Like, I want to know their opinion. Okay, keep that in mind. If we could add just one more thing to make this process even better, what would it be? How do you like to communicate? What are you expecting? What kind of gifts do you like? Ask them. When's your birthday? What's your sign? You like long walks on the beach, right? Ask them questions and get to know them, because then you can show up for them really well, right? Then you can show up for them really, really well. And again, why is that important to you? Most important question you can ask them is, why are these things important to you? Buyers, when you're working with buyers, talk to them about it. I want a big yard. Okay, why is that important to you? What does a big yard look like to you? Trust me, there's lots of different answers to that very simple question. Okay. Handwritten notes. Oh, huge. You have their address. Send them a thank you note after. If you get the listing, if you don't get the listing, send them a thank you note after. You will love yourself for doing it. You'll probably get more people that are grateful for you, and you might even get the listing afterwards off a dang thank you card. And I never thought they were that important until I started sending them and getting the responses that I got. It's huge. Okay, so I need to do a little switcheroo on stuff. So tell me, guys, what are some ahas from the things that we went over? I know that we went over it kind of fast, but give me some of your ahas.
I liked how you were talking with folks in a way where you have to make suggestions about their house, whether it's cleaning or things like that, instead of saying your house or pinpointing them. Just talk about all from the buyers that you've seen, this is what they prefer to see, or things like that. Make it more palatable for them, but still get your point across.
Absolutely. I love that. All right, what else?
I think I learned more about the marketing side. I knew it would be involved, but I didn't realize how much personal investment it would take, like putting the initial cost in and then going as far as hiring professionals to take the photos. I think in my head, I was like, oh, I'll just take pictures with my phone. But that's kind of good to know the level of marketing to be successful.
Yeah. You have to look at what other successful agents are doing. I mean, trust me, there are plenty of agents out there that are rocking pictures from their cell phone. There are plenty out there. Are they successful? I don't know. You'd have to look at their past sales to see what they're doing, but I can guarantee if I show up to the listing appointment with my marketing package and you show up with your cell phone pictures, then I'm probably going to get it. And so I just thought about that. You know, when I was a brand new agent, I was like, oh man, these guys are doing like videos and all kinds of stuff. I have to do that. And now nobody even does videos. Like a lot of people, it's very few of us that do the videos. And even my little, whatever I have the photographer doing, is still more than what a lot of people are doing. It cost me an extra $150. I'm about to make, I mean, on my little trailers that I have going, I'm making $5,000 a pop. I can afford the extra 150 to stand out from the rest. But yes, there is a personal investment to working with sellers. Absolutely. The lockbox is $125. The sign is going to be at least $70. The post that goes in the yard is $35. The listing pictures are $300. And well, say you only get pictures, $200, $150. And then if you want to run any kind of ads, you're going to have that kind of cost there. So it can add up. And I tell my sellers that when I sit down with them and I say, look, I got skin in the game, man. I'm putting like $800 to $1,000 into this deal before I ever even hit the market. Like, obviously, we've got some stuff in common here. We're on the same team. And they like that. They like to know that you're putting some skin in the game to get their home sold. Yeah.
Hey, so going back to what you said earlier, you mentioned you get to a point where you have a seller that want to negotiate your fee. You've already given your presentation.
Yeah.
You've already given why you're charging what you're charging, and you're giving them backup of your work, and they still hit you with, well, hey, how's 5% sound? What would be your response to that?
I would want to know why that's important to them. So the difference between 5% and 6% is 1%. So I'll calculate that really quickly in my head. If it's a $500,000 home, that's a $5,000 difference in what they're going to pay, right? So I would say to them, okay, so we're talking about $5,000 here in commission paid to me for my services. Why is that important to you? And they'll probably say something about their bottom line. And they want to make sure that they make a certain amount. So I will calculate for them how much money they would make by paying me my original amount. And then I will show them that. So all sellers are going to pay about 1% in closing costs plus my commission. So I would say, and I'm terrible at math too. And I tell them too, I'm like, look, I'm terrible at math. So I'm going to have to bust out my calculator right now. And I'm going to have to show you really quick because I'm so bad at this. $500,000 times 6% is a 30,000. Now I'm actually splitting that with buyer's agent. So whenever a buyer's agent comes to the table, I'm going to be splitting this $30,000, not right down the middle, but pretty close to right down the middle. So there's a difference between $5,000 here. Tell me, why is it important? And then he's going to say my bottom line. And I would say, okay, great. So you're going to be paying out about 7%. And so I would say, so let's look at this. You've got $500,000 as your sales price. I'm hoping I can get you more, but let's just say it only sells for $500,000. Let's minus the 6% that you're going to pay for the commissions. And then let's minus out the extra 1% in closing costs. So that's subtracting 7%. You're going to walk away with $465,000. Do you have a mortgage that you need to pay on the property? And they'll say, yeah, I have a mortgage to pay. Okay, so what's your mortgage? Well, our mortgage is $350,000. Okay, great. So let's minus out the $350,000 and you're going to walk away with $115,000. Now, is that something that you feel comfortable with? No, we were hoping for $120,000. Okay, so I can understand why that $5,000 is coming in between us. And sometimes I'll drop my fee. Like if they were really hoping to walk away with 120, and it's like, I'm happy to lower my fee to 5 because want to know what? 5 is better than 0. And I would rather lower my fee to 5 and walk away with a transaction than not walk away with that transaction. But I really have to get them to pinpoint why that's important. If they can't tell me why that's important to them, well, because I heard that, other people will do it for 5. Okay, great. Have you seen the marketing that I'm providing and what I'm bringing to the table? And then I will go back to what I'm bringing to the table. Are the other agents that are going to sell it for 5%, are they providing you with the level of marketing that I'm providing for you? Now, I also have a strategic listing plan that I go over. So I go over that too. And I'm like, has any of the other realtors that'll do it for 5% talked to you about a strategic listing plan in this fashion? Do you actually think that they're going to save you $5,000, or do you think they're going to lose you $5,000? Because in my opinion, I just based off of how I see other agents work in this market, they might be saving you $5,000 on the back end. But when you go into negotiations and repairs and all that kind of stuff, they're also laying down and taking a shorter commission from you. So what do you think they're going to do when a buyer's agent comes through and hits them hard with a repair request? Do you think that they're going to come to you and be a pit bull and tell that other agent no? Or do you think they're going to say, hey, we got to lay down? They already laid down for you and dropped their commission 1%. What do you think they're going to do then? That is showing them that I'm not an easy lay down. I'm not somebody that's just going to, sometimes they're testing you. So it really depends on how deep we get. If it's like genuinely, they say to me, well, we were really hoping that we would get 120 because we want to pay off this debt and we want to do this. Then I'm like, y'all, let's do it at 5%. I don't want to stand in your way of success. Let's do this. Like, I would rather help you. I will do that for you. Right. If they're going to buy with me, I absolutely will drop it to 5%. And then what I usually do is I say, I'm going to charge you 6% on the sale, but I'm going to credit to you towards your buyer closing costs, the 1%. So when you buy with me, I will give you a credit. That ensures that I get paid my full amount. And when they buy with me, they get a discount. And that usually works out in their favor. They like that. If they want that discount up front, or if they want that deal, then they have to sign a buyer's agreement with me that says that I will credit them that amount. That way they complete the sale, right? Okay. All right. So let's talk about working with buyers and sellers. We're going to blow through all this stuff. Virtually every top producing agent we have ever worked with has a deep and almost inherent sense of service. They have a servant's heart, and to place their buyers or sellers' real estate experience above all else, they are always thinking of service. This has been very important in my career. And I learned this from my mentor when I was working on a team, that no matter what, even when and I tell this story to people, but even when my Cadillac was getting repoed and I couldn't pay my bills and real estate was really hard and I was just going through it, the commission was never important. In fact, it was the last thing that you needed to think about, because if all you're thinking about is what's happening at the end, or getting them to list, or convincing them to buy, or any of those things, at the end of that rope is your own gain, right? And that is a short rope, very short rope. If you can think about it in terms of their experience, how they're feeling, how would they want to be treated, what are they experiencing right now, you'll have amazing relationships with their clients and you'll get a ton of referrals. So let's talk more about that relationship. Agent-client communication, huge. Be quick to communicate, answer your phone, answer your texts, don't let things go. It provides a strong foundation for a sustaining relationship. Being honest, don't give lip service. Ask deeper questions. Go a little bit deeper, right? Why is that important to you? Why are you looking to move? All those things are what helps really create the good foundation that you can build on from there. Set and manage expectations proactively through the transaction. So no, we don't look at property before you get pre-approved. We don't have to do that. Why? Because it's not good for you. Straight up, it's not good for you. You're going to go out and look at property. You're going to fall in love with something. It's going to be gone. You're going to be mad. Simple human behavior. And I tell them that. I'm like, I just don't want to put you through that. Like, let's get you pre-approved first, and then we'll go look at property. So I'm setting the expectations and I'm communicating to them in a way that they understand. I don't say, well, it's not good for me because you can't buy the house anyways, right? I'm not telling them that. It's really about them. I don't want them to have a bad experience. Over communication. If you're the kind of person that's like, oh my God, this person's explaining themselves way too much, learn from that person. That person has probably excellent communication skills, and that's what your clients don't want to know every single thing about your job. They don't want to know all the little cruddy communications that you have with the other agent. They don't want to know that the other agent sucks. They don't want to hear that they don't want to hear all that ins and outs, but they want you to know that you're working for them. So every Thursday, I would reach out to all of the leads that are buyers in my database, like even people that had never really talked to me. And I would say, hey, it's Thursday. I'm setting up my calendar for this weekend so that I can make sure that I show property to all my favorite clients. So if you would like to see a property this weekend, please let me know. And then I would get people that are like, oh no, thank you. But it was ahead of the game, right? I'm getting ahead of the game. I'm not waiting for people to communicate that they want to see property, right? I don't wait on my clients to communicate with me. If I'm waiting on an answer from a client and they don't give it to me in a time frame, then I get back to them. If a listing agent doesn't answer the phone the first time, I call them 3 times later on. I text them, I email them, right? So active, proactive communication. The communication, it enhances your credibility when you are an over communicator. The 3 levels of service are your purpose, your value proposition, and the fact that you're a fiduciary to your client. Does anybody know what is the difference between a fiduciary and a functionary? Nobody? Think about it like this. I go show a property to Jordan. I take him out and I'm showing him a property, and we get to the property and I look for the lockbox and I open the door and I say, all right, here you go. Take a look at the property. Let me know if you have any questions. Jordan walks around the property and I walk around with him and I follow him, and he asks me questions about the property and I answer whatever questions he has. And then when we're all done with the property, I'm like, all right, let's go on to the next, right? I showed him the property, we communicated great, and we go on about our day looking at properties that way. And then I take out Havila. And we go look at properties, and I'm at the property a little bit early. I've already opened the door. The lights are on. I turn the heater on just to make sure that it works because it's cold outside. When Havila gets there, I let her know, hey, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's about 1,500 square feet, a little give and take. I've been looking around the property and I kind of noticed that it's older, but they've taken really good care of it so far. I did see, the roof looks like it's a little bit older. There's some moss up there. The water heaters in the garage, I took a look at that. Laundry doesn't look too bad. So I've kind of scaled the property a little bit, just looking for major problems, but I want you to take a look at it and let me know what you think. And then as we walk through the property, I'm answering any questions that she might have. And then I've already contacted the listing agent to find out if there's any offers on the property or when they're going to be entertaining any offers. And I already have the information pulled up for our next property that we're going to go look at to provide her with that address to go to the next way. So now to you, which one of those, was I a fiduciary to Havila or was I a fiduciary to Jordan?
Havila.
Yeah, right. I'm not
you're
go ahead.
Fiduciary to the person that you're more informative with.
Absolutely. Yeah. How informed do you want to be about the home that you're buying? Or that the home that you're looking at, right? And how do I stand out? If she goes and looks at property with anybody else, how's it going to feel, right? How am I making her feel? And what is her experience like? Am I providing her with the information that she needs? I used to print out all these papers and provide like printouts for my clients. And then one time I had a tablet and I would like hand them a tablet and they would go through everything. And you know what I learned? The best thing ever is I just text them the MLS link. Like I just text it to their phone and I say, here's a link to the property that we're looking at right now. I just texted it to your phone and they pull it up. And sometimes I'll use my website if I want to, like you can use the app. I mean, I had a client that was like, no, I have your app right here. I'm just looking at the property right now. I was like, this is great. This is great. So little things like that can really set you apart from being a functionary. A functionary is a glorified door opener. They open the door and that's about all you're going to get out of them. If you ask a question, you might get an answer, right? But you got to ask. A fiduciary is someone that is proactively looking to educate you on what you're looking to do, right? So like I said, I go back to the mom that cares too much. I'm like a helicopter parent with my clients, right? I care a little bit too much. And that's what makes me think, well, oh God, I kind of got to present this place to them and show them what's up, you know?
Hey, can I piggyback off what you just said?
Yeah.
I think that's an awesome idea as far as the MLS. What about if you haven't already for the day, you all know what you're going to go see as far as properties, printing out like hard copies of the properties and then like maybe naming them or numbering them. And then each property give them the hard copy so they can make notes on the property. You guys can both be in sync that way as well. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, I have done that before. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. I have done that. Sorry, it says that somebody's here for me. Oh, okay, good. Sorry, guys. I have done that before, actually. Yeah, I have done that before. Like I said, but now I don't print anything out. I usually text it to them because they have a phone. And there's ways of them on their portal to leave notes. So I take notes for my clients a lot too. It really depends on them. Like I said, ask them, how do you want to be serviced? Do you want me to have printouts for you? Like I used to have a tablet, right? And I would hand them a tablet. And one time this girl's like, this is way too much. Why are you handing me a tablet? I'm like, give it back. Okay, forget the tablet. Tablet's gone, right? I'll text it to you. She's like, can you just text it to me? Right? So ask them how they want to be handled. Okay, so let's take a little preview of the transaction process. So first things first, they're going to partner with an agent. This is a buyer side. Your client's going to partner with you, and then they're going to get pre-approved for their loan, right? Once they're pre-approved for a loan, we can set our search criteria, and then we can start looking for their new home, right? The pre-approval is going to determine their level of buying power, and that's very important. If you don't know how much they can purchase a property for, there's really no purpose in going out and looking at properties because, like, we don't even know if you can afford this. It's a waste of time for the seller. It's a waste of time for the buyer. I like to be very clear about search criteria. So in the buyer's consultation, there's the buyer's needs analysis. It gets real deep with everything that that has to do with what they want, like cultural things, lifestyle stuff, who's living with you, who's going to stay for a while, do you need an office, do you need this? Like there's so much that goes into it. So get really very clear. Favorite question to ask people when they're buying a house: do you already have a property that you have found on the internet that you're in love with? Send me that property. Once they send me that property, I have a very clear picture of what they really want. Whether they can afford it or not, that's another story. But I have a very clear picture of what they would love to have. So if I can find something as close to that as possible, then we'll get into business, right? So then we go out on the search and we start looking for homes. Be prepared to work evening, nights, and weekends. You are going to be showing property a lot, especially if you don't do a buyer consultation and have a very clear picture of what they want, right? If you don't do that, you're going to be showing property a lot. The buyer consultation is to help you eliminate them trying to see properties that don't match their criteria. Because guess what? I'm not going to show them anything that doesn't match their criteria, but they will come to you and say, well, we want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this area for this price. And then they're going to send you a property that's way overpriced, or they're going to send you a property that's way underpriced and it's like 2 bedrooms. And then you have to remind them, but you told me you wanted 3 bedrooms. So what's changed, right? Or, hey, of course you love this property. It is freaking fantastic. It's also $200,000 more than your price. So what's changed? And they're going to say, well, we heard that sellers are dropping prices. Okay, not 200 grand, right? So let's bring it back to reality. All right. So it's important for you to be on the very same page as them for what they can actually afford and what they really want and what they really like, because what they might send you is the complete opposite of that. Also, be flexible. I never turn them down. If they come to me with a compelling and they're like, nope, we talked about it. It's fine to do a 2-bedroom. We love it. We want it. Let's go. Okay, cool. Let's go look at it. But if they're like, oh, we didn't even notice it was a 2-bedroom, I just did my job and saved them a bunch of time. Once you find the property that you like, make the offer. Don't wait for them to tell you they want to make an offer. Ask them, you ready to make an offer on this property? I think it's the one, right? Assume the close, because if they have to go sleep on it and they lose the property because you didn't ask them, they're going to be pissed at you. And it stinks because you're like, well, wait, I thought you would tell me if you want to write an offer, you would tell me, right? No, sometimes they don't. So be the one that enacts that, right? Havala, you had a question?
Just wanted to know from your experience, is there a sweet spot on how many properties you should show a buyer, like in an afternoon or an evening? What's the sweet spot on that?
I do not show more than 5 properties in a day.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I do not show more than 5 properties in a day. I also am not big on, I will show people around town, but I will recommend places for them to go to see town. I've heard about agents that like take people on like an 8-hour tour. I got kids. I ain't got time for all that. But I will definitely put together an entire like itinerary of places for you to go. Like I'll do everything to help you out, but I don't have 8 hours to go roll around with you and show you the town. Well, you can do that on your own. I don't demand that people drive by properties before I show it to them. I think that's super, like, that's a double trip. It's weird. I do have clients that agree to do that. So, it's up to them. All right. So then we negotiate terms and we get them under contract. Vendor coordination, that's about inspections, like inspecting, getting the inspections done, getting the appraisal done, all of that. You'll help with vendor coordination. You will negotiate the inspections. So whatever comes back on the inspections, we will submit a repair request or negotiate some sort of credit. The appraisal needs to come in usually right after we negotiate for inspections, the appraisal comes in. After the appraisal is done, that's when we move for closing. So we move for loan approval and we get to post-close preparation, which is signing and getting the home ready for the closing process. And then we close. Also, you'll want to make sure that you have a plan for post-closing. How often are you going to reach out to them? I reach out to them a lot. I reach out to them like the day after they buy the house. I'm like, hey, how's it going? How was your first night in the house? And then like a week later, I'm like, hey, how's the house? And then like 2 months later, I'm like, hey, how's the house? And then 6 months later, I'm like, hey, how's the house? And then a year later, I'm like, hey, how's the house? And then every quarter for the rest of their life, I'm like, hi, how's the house? I'm having a client event, bring your kids. How's the house? Just like always. And everyone's like, well, I don't really know what to call them about. Literally call them and ask them, how's the product that I just sold you? Like, I just sold you this product and my clients are all up, like, they're all up on me. If they have any problems, they call me. Amy, I got a home warranty issue. Thank you. Yes, happy to help. Like, I'm happy when my clients call me for all their problems. Like marital issues, call me. I don't care. I want to be your everything. Because if I can be your everything, then that means that you're going to refer people to me and you're going to love me. And I'm about it. I'm just kidding about the marital problem. Okay, set time. Setting expectations. Okay, so timelines are amazing. A timeline like this, there are timelines in the Ignite toolkit for sellers and for buyers. Your transaction coordinator is also going to set a timeline for them and send them the escrow timeline, which is very helpful because that's really all they need. In fact, I have sellers right now that are in contract and I sent them they were like, are you going to give us like next steps? I said, yeah, I'll send you a timeline with everything. And then they never called me. Don't bother me at all. It's great because all they needed to know was when do we have to do what we have to do and when do we close? That's all they care about. They just don't want to deal with anything else in between. So we set expectations for time expectations with our transaction coordinator. I also let them know that about my transaction coordinator. So I let them know ahead of time, hey, I use the transaction coordinator. They help me with all my paperwork. They're going to make sure that me and you stay in the contract timelines and that everything's filled out correctly. They're going to collect signatures and all kinds of stuff like that. So you'll be watching out for DocuSigns. You're going to be watching out for a lot of emails and stuff like that. Okay. Okay. Escrow is going to reach out to you. You're going to have to talk to an escrow officer. They're going to ask you questions and stuff like that too. Communication expectations. I let them know that they can communicate with me 7 days a week through text, email, and cell phone. You make your own plan. I tell people after 7 o'clock, I'm hard to get a hold of because I'm with my family and I want to have time with my kids, and that's okay. Actually, when I was a brand new agent, I didn't think that was okay. And I would answer people at 10 o'clock at night, just craziness. I worked internet leads, so it was like silly stuff. And now I don't. Like, if you text me after 7 o'clock, unless I notice that it's an emergency, I'm probably going to get back to you the next morning after 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., whatever's easier for me. Most of my clients have no problem with that whatsoever. They don't want to be bothered either, right? Now, when I'm working with buyers, it's a little bit different. But I tell them I don't show property in the dark ever. I don't want to show property in the dark, and neither do you. You can't see it. You have no idea what the street looks like. You have no idea what anything looks like. You're just going to ask me to come back during the day. Luckily, we're in a market right now where you don't have to rush out and show property in the next hour or it's going to be gone. We have time. Let's go this weekend, right? And I always check in with a listing agent ahead of time to make sure that we do have that time. If we don't have the time, then I bring flashlights and we're going to handle it. Contingencies. It's important for you to know, what is your client, does your client need to get out of this deal for any reason? Okay. Contingencies are automatic in the purchase agreement. You have 3: inspection contingency, loan contingency, appraisal contingency. They're already there. But what if your client needs to find another property after they sell their home? That's a contingency. What if the buyer needs to sell their home before they can buy? That's a contingency. So you need to understand that if there are things standing in the way of them buying a property, like unless they're paying cash and they're going to close tomorrow and there's nothing, then there's contingencies that need to be in place because they need to be able to back out if there should be any issues. So there's a standard 3 contingencies, and then there's others that you can add in afterwards. So make sure that you're asking them, is there any condition that stands in your way of buying this property? Other than a loan, appraisal, and inspections. And they'll say something. They'll say, oh, I don't know. But if they're selling a property and they have to move into something else, they need a contingency. If they have to sell their property to buy, they need a contingency.
How does it work? How does it work with the situation with earnest money? So say, for instance, you have a time frame with earnest money. You have a time frame from the seller. They want you to have everything done by a certain time. You're not able to hit that mark as it relates to time. Are you forfeiting your buyer's earnest money, or do you just get an extension? Like, how does that work on the extension for time?
Okay, so in California, contingencies cannot be removed unless they're removed in writing. So say that you don't get your deposit in time, cool. The only thing the seller can do is send you a notice to perform, and that gives you an extra 3 days. So, and then if you don't perform, then they can cancel on you. But they have to give you what's called a notice to perform. Seller, it's rough in California. You can't keep anybody's deposit and you can't cancel on anybody if you're a seller. Once you're locked in, you're locked in. The buyer really has to mess up in order to lose. Set up-to-date market expectations. It is not last year, but also the market's not crashing. So don't say that either, right? It's a neutral market right now. It's actually more of a seller's market still because we have low inventory on the market, but just set their expectations. Like, no, your home's not going to sell in a week and we're not going to get 20,000 offers. And no, there's not some magical cash buyer from the Bay Area. They just is not a thing, right? Buyers from the Bay Area, guys, less than 6%. It's not a thing. So if they think that some magical cash Bay Area buyer is coming to like help buy their house, it doesn't exist. So set those expectations and let them know, it also helps knowing your numbers. Robert.
What is the term used for the contingency when a seller is expecting to have their house sold before they move into another house? What is that contingency called when it's basically, they're going to sell based on that? They're going to buy another house, or excuse me, like a buyer is willing to buy based on that contingency if their home sells?
Okay, so a buyer selling a home and buying another one is basically saying, my home is for sale. I am buying this home contingent on that home selling. It's called a contingency for a home sale.
Contingency for home sale. Okay.
Yeah, it's the buyer's contingency for the sale of their property or something like that. And then if the seller is selling their home, but they need to buy another property, it's called a seller contingency for replacement property. So seller contingency for replacement property. It means I have to sell a home in order to buy another home.
Right. Okay. It could go both ways, and just depends on whether they're the buyer or seller looking for a new home.
Correct.
The way it's worded.
Right. I think it's best if you need to sell your home to buy another home, you need to have your home in contract before you find another home to buy. And we will put it into place where you have a rent back period to where your contract, you may sell your home in the next 30 days, but you get to rent it back for another 30 days. So that way we can close on your new property and you don't have to move twice. Yeah.
If we come up with a situation like that, rather than us just kind of determine on the spot, basically we will tell them, I don't have the answer to that. I'll get back to you. Or what do you prefer us to say, since we really don't know how that's going to work out? We're obviously going to run it by you and get some more information, because I've never, experienced that. Right. So
yeah, you run all your contracts by us. Don't write a contract without running it by your coach. That's what I would say. So as you have any kind of situation like that, just reach out to one of us and we'll help you out with it. Yeah.
So there's all types of different scenarios that could present themselves. What would you like for us to tell our buyers and sellers when it comes to those particular type of questions in which that we don't have the experience to answer those type of questions for them?
You say that's an amazing question. I don't have the answer right now, but I will get back to you with the answer as soon as I have it. Yeah. So if you don't know the answer and you have to wait to talk to somebody about it, then just let them know, hey, that's a really good question. I'm going to check back with my broker. I just want to make sure that I give you the correct answer and not just one off the top of my head. So I'm going to get back with you and talk to you about that.
Right. And not necessarily the correct answer, but the correct option. What options, am I going to present to them, Yeah.
I mean, every situation is different. So it's hard to know what options we're talking about. Right. Yeah. Every situation is different. So, but if the seller needs to, that's what we're talking about, right? Contingencies. What options are you talking about?
Any scenario. Well, it really depends. Yeah. We don't know unless, we actually go through it. Yeah. Yeah.
You won't know. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like if somebody says, oh, I need to sell my home and buy another one. Well, we know we can do that, right? Yeah, we know we can do that. And we know that there's a contingency for that in place. What I always recommend to all of the agents is that when you have a seller, set the appointment, ask the seller lead sheet questions, get all of those questions down, and then say, okay, great, we're going to talk more at the appointment. And then call your coach immediately and say, I just set a listing appointment. I need help now. And then we're going to set an appointment with you or talk to you right then and say, okay, great, let's get ready for it. What questions have you asked them? If you come to us and say, oh, I set the appointment, I didn't ask any questions, then I'm going to be like, oh, I don't know how to help you, right? So I would say use the seller lead sheet, ask those questions, set an appointment in the future, right? 24 to 48 hours, and then get with your coach like immediately.
What is the latest time that we could reach out to you in these particular questions? I know with the buyers and sellers, you had mentioned that nowadays you don't take calls after 7. As far as us in the coaching program, what is like the cutoff time for us?
Yeah,
7 o'clock.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I want to spend time with my family. I'm sure you do too, and your sellers do too. Set the appointment for in the future. So don't set same day appointments. make sure that you set it in the future, and then just shoot me a text and say, hey, I have a listing appointment. I need to get with you. And then we'll work out a time. If I'm up and I'm around my phone after 7 o'clock, I'll probably answer you. But it's harder to get a hold of me after 7 because I'm like, why getting my kids ready for bed? We're doing stuff like that, right? So I would say if you can get to me before 7, I would really appreciate that. But if not, then if I'm available, I will answer you. But that's another reason why everything in the Ignite toolkit is designed for you to get ready ahead of time as well. So if you want to go through that and make sure that you go through all of those questions, or all of those training videos, that can really set you up for success for sure. But yeah, 7 days a week. So just because I'm a little sketchy after 7 doesn't mean I'm not there for you guys. I'm still available 7 days a week. And that's Nicole's available too. So we've got Nicole and me. Bruce, you've got your broker. If Bruce is your broker, you've got John, your team leader. All of us are going to be available to help you out with these things. Coaching is just your go-to. All right, guys. Well, time is up. I'm going to let you all go. Thank you so much for showing up for me and for yourselves. We'll be back next week, Tuesday's contracts classes, and then I'll be teaching you on Wednesday the 15th, make and receive offers. I'm excited about that one. I hope you guys have a good weekend.
Yay, thanks for everything.
Thanks,
I'm
Amy.
super
Bye,
excited
everyone.
too. You did good. Bye-bye.